Welcome. Wait, are we live? Let me just check. Oh my gosh, we are 6 seconds in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with C, where we bridge the gap between physical and non-physical. That's my own needing to mute my own end. Okay, let me start again. Welcome to Conversations with C, where we bridge the gap between physical and non-physical worlds by connecting with spiritual thought leaders from both sides of the veil. Today, my very special guests are Reverend Mychael Shane and Julie Adreani. These are two world-class physical mediums. They'll be sharing amazingly rare, never before seen images and video clips taken live during their seances and sessions with Mychael, Julie, and Spirit. We'll be asking them questions. You're welcome to ask your own questions. Oh, my cat just poured water all over my desk. I'm going to need to get a towel. So on that note, I'm going to give it to Mychael and Julie, and I'll be right back with a towel. Trixie.
Hi, everyone. Those animals that we love, right? Our fur babies.
You didn't get it on like the electrical cord or anything, so that's all that matters. Nobody's gonna die or anything.
Yeah. Questions for us? Go ahead and put your questions in the chat.
Yes. Julie will guide you for a few minutes, guys. I've got to take care of this because it was literally
a few minutes. Mychael and I would like to tell you about some events that we have coming up. Mychael, as you know, has classes. I help facilitate. We have seances coming up this spring and in summer. So Mychael will be here in Chicago, where I'm at, in the month of April. And the 20th and the 21st, we're going to be doing seances here. So if you've never been to a seance and you're interested and you're near Chicago, please come and join us. The following weekend, the end of April, we will be in Indianapolis at the Progressive Spiritualist Church with 2 seances in the dark. And we are going to be in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is in June, right, Mychael?
Yeah.
June 6th.
Let me look here. I believe it's the 17th of June.
Yeah, 16th and 17th.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So, and there's plenty of physical mediumship opportunities. There's a new class coming up about the apportation board. Mychael, you want to say a few words about that class?
Yes. I've been doing a process called apportation that probably for the last 30 years. And there's been a lot of questions. Well, what do I do with these? What are they for? How do I use them? And I'm going to be teaching the class to give you that particular answer and show you how to do ceremony, use them for all kinds of different things relative to their purposes and their abilities.
And this is called an apportation board. Is that what you're talking about?
An apportation.
Apportation board or ceremony board.
Okay. I've never heard of one myself.
Where you take your sacred objects and you.
Yes, and that's coming up on March 13th. It's only $90 if anybody's interested. Get in touch.
Absolutely. And if you want, after the show, if Julie and Mychael, if you want to send me the links and I can put everything
I
under.
lost her.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, you're here. We got you.
We got you. You're here, Mychael.
Our internet is really having a problem.
It's okay. It's okay if it's glitchy. Are you able to plug it in to hardwire?
So anyway, the class will give everybody the insight on how to use.
Whoop, we lost him. He'll be back.
He shall return. Okay.
Yes.
Left of my.
How are you doing, C? How are you doing? Are you? Good thing your equipment didn't get damaged.
And not only I believe Mychael is.
Want to show some photographs while we're waiting for Mychael?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Give me Kimmy's like all shared out. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? Well, while we're doing that, let me just make sure that everything that I've got the group. Kimmy shared it out. So honestly, I probably don't have to do anything because she's awesome. And I do have it pinned on my personal page. I am going to share it. Oh, Kimmy probably already shared it into the group, but I'm going to do it anyway.
And share it to the media too. Ask her to share it to my group. That'd be great. Or I can.
There you guys are.
Hi. Okay, I'm gonna share it. Because I don't know if Kimmy's a member of your group yet, but if she's not, she probably, because it's a great group. Oh my God.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And so so you know what I'm gonna do while I'm sharing out and greeting people. Hello, everybody. I would love it if we could just start at because we're going to go deep, as deep as you guys want to go. But I want to start out with just the basics for those of us who I've literally never been to a seance, but I know more than some and less than others. What is a seance? And just the basics, so we know what we're talking about when you talk about seance or apports or the what do you sit in? I'm sorry, what's it called? The tent? Not a tent. It's called a cabinet.
Cabinet.
So let's get the basics out of the way so everybody knows, and then we'll dive into all the other questions because I know we have a lot of experienced people here in the chat too, and you guys can answer everything, guys. Are you ready for this? This is going to be the best physical medium chat ever. So I'll leave it to you guys to talk about all this, and I'm going to finish sharing out.
Okay, Mychael, do you want to take that? What is a seance? Mychael.
There might be a lag. He may not hear us in real time.
Well, the cabinet, I can tell you right now, I'm sitting right in front of mine, and it's a structure that the medium sits in, okay? And this is where we sit in the dark and sit for spirit communication. Mychael, are you able to hear us? Uh-oh.
He might pop in and out. Does he have? Do you know if Mychael has ability to hardwire? In other words, plug it in with an Ethernet cord. You know,
I know. I don't know. He's upstairs, so I don't think that's hardwired.
Okay, he's probably using Wi-Fi.
So anyway, let me go through the questions. So
it'll be. He's here. That's important.
I actually always suggested sitting in the dark, even when I sat in my power for mental mediumship, because when you sit in the dark, you're taking away one of your senses, your sight, and everything else gets heightened, all your other senses. So when you sit yourself in the cabinet, you can feel when you're connecting with your own soul, your higher self, okay? And then when you learn what your own energy feels like, you definitely feel when spirit comes near, okay? Because your senses are heightened when you're sitting in the cabinet. All right? Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. So do you spend a lot of time? I'll let you finish because I'm going to have a lot of questions too.
Okay. Well, were you going to say, do I spend a lot of time in my cabinet? I sit every day in my cabinet. I try to sit for an hour. If you're a developing medium, I suggest that you sit more often. If you don't have a cabinet, that's fine. I still used to sit in my closet or in a darkened, room. If you're afraid of the dark, that's okay. You could sit in the light. I used to do that too, and sit with a blindfold on because it took away that sense. And that it's like sensory deprivation, and it heightens your other senses. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. It even makes sense to think about it. Like
you're sitting in the power. I really love that whole concept.
Yes, that makes so much sense. And think about it. If someone, I guess it's somewhat related, like if someone doesn't have a certain sense, like if they're visually impaired or hearing impaired, their other senses become more heightened. And that's what we're saying happens when you're consciously, like not maybe blindfolding yourself, but you're sitting in the dark cabinet, and then everything else, and plus you're tuned in and connected to spirit. So you're probably experiencing things in a more profound way and maybe being even aware. And are the sitters, and now the sitters are the people that are in the room. Are they called sitters too? Or let
they're
the
called
guests
sitters.
that are
I mean, you don't have to have sitters to sit in your cabinet or in the dark. I mean, I was sitting in the dark for the last 7 years just to practice and learn to feel my own energy and learn to feel who my guides were. So you don't necessarily have to have sitters for that. So anybody can do this to practice when they're sitting in their own power.
That was my mistake in the way I was asking. I was visualizing a seance with other people in the room. But yes, you're right. We're talking about your cabinet. And so you're saying no one has to be there, just you and your guides. And now, when you sit in the power, do you practice sitting in the power as well as blending with your guides to learn to just you're very new, you're experienced, but so newer people would learn to discern my energy from the energy of their guides, etc., and the ascended masters?
Yes. And when you're first learning to sit in your cabinet, you should sit alone because people should, not go into trance by themselves. So it's good to have someone to sit by you. So, hi, there he is.
Hello.
I'm on my phone.
Okay.
It works perfectly. It's working perfectly. I'm just going to see if I don't want that. I'm trying to see if I can make you guys bigger and me smaller. Not that I want to be tiny, but maybe if I move that myself over here. Hang on. I just wanted to feature you guys in the. Well, I guess whichever one of you is talking, I can move it over. I don't know. I'm just doing my best to be a great host, but I'm just glad. Oh wait, okay, there we go. So you know what? His image is smaller, so maybe is that better?
That's fine.
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
That's a good thing.
Right.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Are we all? Is it better like that or better the one we just had a second ago?
I like it the way this is.
Okay.
Like I like to see you too because I like to see who I'm talking to.
Yeah, me too. And I'm smaller because I'm on my phone, and that's good because then I don't have to look at myself.
Oh, you know what's even better because you're like super clear. We can hear you and see you, and it's a nice strong connection. So all is well. Nancy says, "Welcome back, Mychael."
Thank you. Welcome to be here.
And I want to say hi to everyone. I've been pulling your comments up, but hello to Gina, hello to Teresa, Andrea, Nancy, Kimmy, Marie Gans. I mean, all of you, Jenny Jeffries, Tamara, you are all, Sharon Lamb, Wendy. There's so many of you here, and I don't want to miss anybody. Or hi, Bonnie, of course, and Heather, and oh my gosh. So glad you're all here. So now we want you guys to bring your questions. And I am going to start. Okay, I'm going to start off with a question that I've always wanted to ask. And I have probably asked Julie, but I'm going to ask you, Mychael. So apports. Okay, so I know what they are, but if you could just briefly tell everybody what an apport is, and then how does it feel? How does that feel coming out of your body somehow? I want to talk about that because I find that fascinating, and I'm sure somebody else is going to be interested in that too.
Well, apport or apportation is the name of the process. Teleportation is moving a object from one point, space, and time to another.
Okay.
And that's through the physical concept. Mm-hmm. Apportation is where you're moving an object from one space and time through an interdimensional process, which is where you take time and space and take the straight line and fold it where the two spaces reach at the same space and time. The concept of apportation goes back many thousands of years. Are probably the best known form of apportation is what you would read in the Bible about Jesus when he produced loaves and fishes.
Yes. In
the baskets.
Had thousands with 2 fish or something like that, right?
Yeah. And then there was people like Madame Blavatsky, Paramahansa Yogananda, Sai Baba, Keith Reinhardt, and others that have done this process as a demonstration, not a show of power, but to show the capabilities that we have as individuals to manipulate and or control physical time and space.
Sounds very Star Trek. So are you really saying that the time folds together?
Yes, because the way we understand time, there's always a distance or a space within it, and it basically controls our life.
Right.
We set our alarm every morning to go to work. We're always watching the clock to see if it's getting close to time to go home, that kind of thing.
The linear construct of time, man-made linear construct of time.
Correct. Okay. But the reality is there is no time and space. Where everything, your past, present, and future, exists simultaneously in the same moment in time. And so, therefore, we're still experiencing our childhood, we're experiencing our future, and we're experiencing the now. And quite frankly, being a clairvoyant, the reason why we're able to see the future is because it's already happened. You see, but
I do actually.
This
and past lives are running concurrently as well. Yes.
Yes, past lives, future lives, our life in the present moment that we see our consciousness. But everything is living and experiencing and happening at the same moment in time. It's just at this particular moment in time, we see ourselves in this particular show when there's actually other things going on that we're doing in other circumstances.
So true. Thank you.
Yes.
Fabulous. That was just an excellent explanation, and I thank you for that. So when apports come through, and I'm going to just do a little screen share here to to show you guys what some apports are. Can you guys all see this? Not yet. Huh? Hang on, it's got to be bigger. Let me stop.
Those are some of my first ones. They're not in any special order. We have apports from both of us.
Okay, but you guys can see that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So these are some apports. Just some beautiful examples of apports from Mychael and Julie, right?
Yeah, those I think came from Julie. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, those are really nice.
Now, what are we looking at here? Is this you two after a seance without your apports in front of you, or is this what's the?
Yes, that's a seance that we did together.
Okay.
And I believe that was in I forget the name of the place.
Journey's Path.
Journey's Path.
Okay.
And we had a manifestation of a spirit hand. We had a spirit show up, and then when they were walking towards that round table that Julie is sitting in front of, there's a gap between the two cabinets, and that spirit disappears. And then moments after that, Julie's energy came out of the cabinet, and these glow-in-the-dark ping pong balls started bouncing off the table into the audience. And from what my spirit guide, Lady Nada, said to me, people got startled, and one lady screamed a little bit because it startled her,
Yeah.
And then both our cabinets were dancing around. And then after these apports came through, Julie's came through, and then she's your next phase of apportation is practicing and learning how to do it in the dark. I mean, in the light.
Okay.
But when the lights went on, I came out of the cabinet and apported the rest of the objects that came through.
Right.
And it was a pretty interesting and wonderful event. And that right there, what you're seeing is precipitated art, where they were blank canvases. And then by the end of the seance, they were apported back into the, actually on that table, from different artists and spirit There's one in there that was done by Leonardo da Vinci, and I'm only saying that's what I believe. I can't honestly claim that what I'm saying is actually Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
Because in the court of law, you can't prove he did anything now.
To the best of your knowledge and what you were told by spirit, that's Leonardo da Vinci's work, is what you're saying.
A couple of those are.
Okay.
There's a Monet, which is a landscape of flowers there. And then there's some others from other artists. I don't remember who they were.
So may I ask you? So I interviewed Reverend Kevin a long time ago, and he talked about that he hosts. Julie and I were just mentioning it, where he hosts gatherings with precipitated art. And when he was talking about it, you put it in a box. In fact, Kimmy is actually working on that right now, a project, because she's done it before and came up with the word joy. Were these anywhere else, or for the seance they just sit on the table, and at the end of the seance they've been painted, or do they disappear and come back? I know this might sound silly, but I just don't know, so I gotta ask.
Well, in this particular case, this was in Basel, Switzerland.
Okay.
And I don't really, I can't remember exactly what the scenario was all about.
Right.
But this time we didn't bring the canvases into the cabinet. They were done already and in spirit or Shambhala, and then they were brought through the cloud of ectoplasm that was coming from my body. But the other form of precipitated art, which is something that I will be doing, and when I say I will be, it's only really an attempt, because it's not a science. You can't necessarily.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to do that yet. I was just trying to set it up. I was trying to cue it up for next. Please continue what you were saying, Mike.
Maybe you want to hit it again, play it again, because it's very short. But
okay,
I was able to capture that movement.
What I normally would do is I would put the canvases in probably on a little bit of a table. And they would sit them and or draw on them, whatever they're going to do, and then they'll bring them back. And then when the lights go back on, there they are on the table.
Wow.
Now, what you were talking about with Reverend Kevin Lee, I'm assuming is his last name?
Kevin Lee, I couldn't think of his last name. Thank you. Yes, Kevin Lee.
He's talking about the apportation box or the spirit box.
That's
and this is where you put crayons, pencils, and cards, blank cards, and spirit will draw pictures or lines or names or dots or something on the card that wasn't there when that occurred. The other form of apportation, a woman by the name of Hoyt Robidet, who is a very well-known precipitated art medium, really good talents. He'll take these blank cards, and not only do you get a manifestation of a picture on one side of the card, you get printed and sometimes in cursive signatures of people's names that are in spirit.
I've seen that, not in person, but on the camera. That's incredible too. Wow.
So there's all kinds of forms of precipitated art, and from what I'm gathering lately, it's something that's very, very getting really popular. One last medium I want to bring up.
Sure.
His name is Gary Mannion, and
I've heard of Gary Mannion. Probably through Julie. I have not met him yet.
He's from England. He's going to actually be in the symposium at Lilydale coming up in summer.
Yeah.
But he does a form of precipitated art that I've not experienced or seen before.
Okay.
Where a blank piece of paper will appear in the cabinet, and his spirit team will throw the paper out into the floor in front of the cabinet, and you can hear that happening. And his spirit guide, I believe his name is Jimmy, explains what's going on. And then when the lights go on, they unfold. It's not folded; it's like crinkled up.
Right.
He'll take it and put it, back as good as he can, and there'll be a picture of a loved one on it.
Whoa.
Mhm.
So, I
So the picture of a loved one of someone who's there sitting in the seance room. Is that?
yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah.
Everybody's saying, "Wow, awesome!"
And that's something that Michael and I are going to start working on, precipitation art. So he's, you got to set your intention, and he's looking forward to doing some more of it.
I love that. Gail Kirk is saying, "I love your work. Who are some of the spirit guides that have spoken during your seances using direct voice? What do they say?" I have a few questions, Gail. Hang on. Can you please record them speaking and share with us sometime? Who are the spirit guides that have physically manifested during your seances, and are you awake during these types of experiences? I'll just give you the whole thing, you guys, and you can answer whatever you like.
Julie, you want to give that one a shot?
Well, I can only speak from my own experience. Like, through me, I channel while in trance, but there was one particular seance that Michael and I did together in July in in September in Casadega, New York. Michael's guys, Lady Nada, Saint Germain, come through regularly. They are his cabinet guides who speak through direct voice, which is created with a pseudopod of ectoplasm, a pseudopod of his voice box that is inside the trumpet. Okay. And if you've never seen a trumpet, I can show you a trumpet in a minute. So anyway, they usually are the ones that direct the seances for Michael. I always call Lady Nada. She's like, she's
Why
the
Lady
energy.
Nada? I mean, nothing.
Direct-
I'm just wondering, like, does her name have special meaning or?
Yes.
Yes.
You want to go ahead and explain who Lady Nada is, and then Saint Germain, and then you can tell them about the independent voice that came through the one time while we were working.
Okay. First off, Lady Nada is well known as one of the ascended masters. In one of her lifetimes, she was Mary Magdalene, who was Jesus' wife.
Well, yes. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's the same energy. That's the same.
The word nada basically means nothing or zero.
In Spanish. That's why I was wondering about that. Nada.
And she was using that name in part to let everybody know that we are not individuals in some cases, that we are connected to the whole, but also we are individuals in duality. And she uses Lady Nada, when she comes through. Sometimes she'll come through as Mary Magdalene, but she's never done that in my seances that I've done. But there are two forms of communication. One is called direct voice, which is what Julie was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a voice box is copied from the medium's voice box, and then they materialize a pseudopod of that voice box inside the seance trumpet, which is what Julie's doing up. Okay. Now the voices don't really sound like the medium; they sound like the spirit. And my voices were actually tested by scientists by the name of Eckhart Cruz, and another scientist back in the 90s, the name of Edward Wilson.
Okay.
And they determined that the voices that were coming through were a separate signature, meaning a different voice box. With you can't fake that. Not even rich people can do that. And I thought it was kind of funny because the scientist wrote me an email saying, Mychael, if you have figured out how to fool my equipment, you should stop what you're doing and become a professional operator. We had Babaji, Katoon Saint Germain come through, and that
and DeWalt Cool. We had DeWalt Cool. Remember that the message people told us?
The DeWalt Cool came through. Oh, that was now I can only tell you this based on what everyone else said, because both Julie and I were in trance, and we were in Casadega I was doing a weekend where we were doing a barbecue, and we had a couple of seances in the evening, and then the next day we had a seance with where Julie, and this is just something that's really new. There's never really been in history two physical mediums working together at the same time. In part, there's professional reasons behind why it's not happened before. There's individual personal reasons why it's never happened before. But spirit teams are finally saying, okay, if you can't get the mediums to play nice, we'll just work together in spirit. And so what's happening is Lady Nada was talking, and during that time that she was talking, through Julie's energy, a gate was created. Not a vortex, but similar.
Wow.
That opened up kind of like a doorway, and DeWalt Cool came through and started talking and walking around in the room. Through that energy, and that was basically independent voice. Independent voice is where they're speaking, spirit is speaking from their own voice box while they have materialized in the room. And then through that, keep in mind, I'm over 300 pounds. I'm restrained in a chair, cable ties, and I'm sitting at this particular time, I was sitting in a chair that probably weighed 100 pounds. It was a solid wooden chair. And that chair and me was transported through space and time, through Julie's gate, and got through the gate, and it was set in the middle of the room, and there wasn't a sound. I mean, I wasn't like sliding the chair across the room. When the lights went on, I was not only in the middle of the room sitting in the chair, I was still restrained in the chair.
Wow.
And
the chair moved with you on the chair, and to a different.
Yeah, they dematerialized me from inside the cabinet and then rematerialized me through Julie's gate.
Did you feel anything, Mychael? I mean, that's like Star Trek being transported. Did you feel anything? That's amazing.
No, I didn't even know I was even moved from the room because I was in what we call a trance.
What's it called?
A trance state.
Trance state. Okay. Yes.
It's kind of like a meditative state. Except you're not consciously aware, of your presence in the room. And just so we can let people know, I'm not the only medium that dematerializations have happened. There was a medium in Casadega who was in the middle of the room laying on some animal skins. He's an Indian guy. I believe his name was Warfield Moose.
Okay.
And he dematerialized from the middle of the room. And during the seance, a knock on the door from the outside of the door, a knock came, and it was Vinny, or no, it wasn't Vinny, it was Warfield, who was standing outside of the door, and there was no way he could have got out there without people knowing that he was going out there. And so it's a, but that day with Julie and I, it wasn't a planned situation. They didn't tell us that anything was going to happen. And we had apports, gemstones, falling out of the ceiling on top of people.
And necklaces. There was a large necklace that time too. Jade.
There was like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And some rings and
see pictures.
And Michael, do you remember? So apparently my guides like to move chairs, because when you were in Chicago, I don't know if it was April or October, some of our students experienced the chair being like lifted and dropped. Remember how loud that was?
Yeah, there was a lady that was sitting in a chair that was slid a little bit across the room, not that far, probably about 10 or 12 inches. Mm-hmm. And then there was a chair that was empty that was moved around the room and levitated. And there was a lady that was in the room with us, along with a number of other ladies and people that were there, who was very suspicious. So she reached over to grab to see if I was still in the chair when the other chairs were moving around and there was a spirit talking. And it startled me a little bit because I was still in my chair.
Wow.
But I wasn't in trance. I wasn't. It was Julie that was in trance. And I was the facilitator or the teacher or whatever you want to call it, or the cabinet helper. And the lady thought, "Oh, that's Michael doing all this." So she reached over to see if I was gone and not in the chair, and I was still sitting in the chair.
Wow.
So stuff like that happened. But I'm being guided actually by Lady Nada to say this. If you are a physical medium and you're wanting to prove yourself to be authentic, really the only thing you can do is just continue to move forward and do your work. Because Lady Nada, which is usually what Saint Germain says, proof is needed, no proof will suffice. Where proof is not needed, no proof is necessary. You're not going to change people's minds if they don't want to believe. But it is always nice to have a little bit of scientific backing on your events and your mediumship. Not for the purpose of proof. Because I've been scientifically tested 21 times by 7 different scientists, and not once is the proof that's come through ever changed anyone's opinion on whether it's real or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it is kind of nice to do the scientific testing just to help the scientific world understand what's going on beyond our physical realm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have a question from Nancy asking, Michael, how and when did you start doing apportations? And on the heels of that same question, I really want to know what it feels like when you're doing it. Are you aware of it at all? Do you feel these giant things like stones coming out of your mouth or your ear? I don't know where they're, So please answer both of those, both of you, whoever wants to answer. It's just so exciting.
Well, I'll answer Nancy's question.
Oh, good. Okay.
I was born in a spiritualist church in Seattle, Washington. I wasn't actually born in the church, but I was born on a Tuesday, and on that following Sunday, I was sitting in my first seance. And then at the age of 4, started some training with that medium of that time. And so at the age of 7, I was playing outside in a dirt pile, with army men and little plastic Indians. Kids used to do that, in those days. Nowadays, they're playing with their cell phones and computers. And so I started feeling a little nauseous in my stomach. And I thought I was just getting hungry at first.
Mm-hmm.
Then a cord of ectoplasm came out of my solar plexus and it went about 3 or 4 feet in front of me and about 3 or 4 feet up off the ground. A cloud of ectoplasm begins to form. And then one object dropped out of the cloud into the dirt. So at that particular point, I knew what was going on. I reached down and grabbed the object, and I was so excited, I ran into the house to show my mother. And
Mom!
She still has it to this day, although I haven't seen it.
So you were really born into it. Your family, your mom was into it. You're a spiritual. Wow. So
and then, whether or not, now, I think Julie should also answer this question as well. Whether we feel it or not, when I do it in the light, I do feel it.
Okay.
To the beginning, which was in 1994, I started apporting again. And that takes practice and training. And it's very rare to be able to do it in the light and very dangerous.
Dangerous?
But if people, if people that are listening want to go to the Healing Brew website in Akron, Ohio, the biggest apport that I've ever brought through from underneath my tongue, because some people accuse me of regurgitating. This is an object that's 2,100, or wait.
Healing Brew, the Healing Brew LLC Metaphysical Tea Shop?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll post it down here.
There's a 2,171 carat apport. It's bigger than the cavity of my mouth. There was no way that could be regurgitated, and it was in front of about 35 people.
Wow.
In broad daylight, where they could see. Nothing was handed to me in the cabinet. The cabinet was searched. I was searched beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes this object out from underneath my tongue, and I felt like my face was being ripped off.
Ow. So that one came from under your tongue, you're saying? Underneath.
Yeah, you see it?
No, I don't see the picture. I posted I think I have the right website, thehealingbrew.com.
Yeah, it should be. And on their website, they have the picture of the object.
It could be here. I'm more book of psychic party, table demonstration. Yeah, I'll just pop. That's why I just popped it in the comments, and everybody can look at it later. Because right now we have you right here, both of you, so they can look at it later. Yeah. But
so, Jill, could you describe whether or not you feel it?
For me, I do not feel anything because I'm in trance. Afterwards, I might have like a pulling feeling near my solar plexus or my heart space, but I don't feel anything. And my apports come from a cloud that will circulate the room or come in front of the cabinets, and they usually rain down from there. And that's exactly how I experienced my first apportation, which was from my grandmother in spirit. And I was about 8 years old, and I was missing having grandparents. It was one of those days where my friends all had theirs over. And while I was playing with my sister, that hand game came right out of the ceiling. A beautiful embroidered handkerchief from my grandmother.
Wow.
But you do have to understand, sometimes when you're not in trance, feels like an alien is trying to crawl out of your body. Like in the movie Aliens.
Yeah. Okay.
And, Lady Nada once described The apportation is probably the closest feeling to giving birth that the male could handle. Females can handle a lot more than that, the pain and so forth. But as you go through that period of your life, eventually you become kind of numb, and Julie probably feels this part. Wherever it comes out, it feels like a million little needles poking you from the inside out, or a little numbness feeling.
Yes.
So
Can you, like, when I see them coming out of your mouth, Michael, can you breathe while that's happening?
not while it's happening, but between the apports that are coming through. Like you just showed a video a little bit ago of myself apporting some silver dollars.
That was amazing. I can show that again too. That was just incredible.
And I need to say that was online. So that's just supposed to show there is no time or space. Because I took that video, I was on the other end of Zoom. I set up an online seance for Mychael, and it was absolutely perfect. I mean, we can work this way. You have to learn though, and you have to work your way up to that ability.
So this is online. This is not with sitters around you. This is sitters out everywhere, all over the world on Zoom or something, right?
Yeah, yes. Plus I also had some physical sitters in the room.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, he had some physical. Yeah, so they were in person and online, but still incredible because it was nothing like normal 20 sitters. There was only a few.
Nancy said, I see the gemstone on Healing Bruce site. It's huge and beautiful.
That's a citrine.
If I can find what page it's on, I will also show that on the screen. I'm just not.
I think it's on the first page.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I found it. Wait. There's Mychael on the page. Oh, it's a great big, is the one activation stone?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I'll show you guys. I'll screen share. Voila. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious. And then they show you more pictures. So that came out of your mouth or your solar plexus or?
From underneath my tongue.
That's the one underneath your tongue that felt like I'll bet that must have been like, does your jaw like dislocate for the moment so things can happen and then heal or?
Well, I wasn't going to share that because I didn't want to get any squeamish feelings out there, but yeah. My bones, and if you're in the room, you can hear the crackling sound of my bones separating.
Wow.
I have dislocated my jaw 4 times, and I've cracked it or broke it 3 times.
Oh. Now you said before that operating in the light is dangerous, or did I am I mistaking 2 different things that you were saying?
No, it's dangerous because when the ectoplasm hits light, it begins to dissipate.
Okay.
So that the objects are coming through flow. Okay, so when that occurs, if you have something in your mouth or in your body that's bigger, or a bunch of things, a lot of stuff can happen that could harm you. To give you just a little bit of an experience, back in I believe it was in 2001, I was in Post Falls, Idaho, and I was training these students at that time. And she was doing well enough to do a seance, like what Julie's been doing. We were, working together, except for I never did it at the same moment. So she was in the cabinet and she apported a little bit, and then she was done. Well, the mother of this person was there, and she was angry because she thought that her daughter should have had more time. But the spirit was saying it was my time to go into the cabinet, and Mother Mary was apporting some vials of Damascus rose essential oil. Well, because of the negative energy,
Mm.
the vials came through, but the oils materialized inside my intestines. And if anyone knows what that does to you, I wasn't well for a while, and that is one of the things that it could happen when it's in the light.
Wow.
Because it's not just solid objects that come through. Oils, sacred oils, wine, evaporated wine, red roses, white roses.
Can you get tipsy on apported wine that comes through you?
I don't, but well, I guess I feel a little bit of a wooziness,
Okay.
you know, and with Julia, I'm going to let a little bit of a cat out of the bag here that Julie isn't aware of, and that is Spirit has a special plan to attempt to do something similar through her.
Ooh, Julie. Oh my God.
I'm ready. I trust them.
You know, when I started redoing apportation back in the early '90s, really nobody heard of it before. And physical mediumship wasn't really understood at all as well. And nowadays, they're popping up all over the place. And all the physical mediums that I'm aware of are apporting at some level, most in the dark, some of them in red or blue light, because that doesn't have the same effect as white light. There was another medium that apported outside in daylight in a parking lot. But I do want to add, the phenomena is not what is important. That's there to get people's attention and interest in education in these things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the masters love to come through and do lectures and teach. And that's what they want to do. Because bringing through an object from one point to another is cool, and you get a really cool looking object, but it doesn't really, I mean, after a couple of weeks of excitement, it goes away.
Right.
And it ends up on someone's shelf connecting with dust and stuff like that. Or they might make a piece of jewelry out of it and say, hey, look what I got, you know. But that's really not what it's for.
The message.
The message, the healing, the programming that's put in them. Not to mention a way to get people's attention to understand who we are, why we are here, what is God, you know, all those different kinds of things, and how to function better in the physical realm, and the reason why we're here.
Wow.
Those kinds of pieces of information is what masters want to share. And that will help us through these experiences.
Absolutely. So I want to ask Julie, what has it been like? I know you've been, you were on my show recently, and that was awesome. And so, but I know you've been working with Mychael for like the last couple of years doing the physical. And I know that, but I know you've been into mediumship all of your life. Like, when did your physical mediumship really just explode when you started working with Mychael and training under him, or was that just an extension or an expansion of what you were already doing? And
I have experienced a lot of physical phenomena throughout my life, but I never correlated it to me because I was just a busy mom. I have 5 kids. I was never focused on me. Okay. But it was always a part of our daily lives, all kind of phenomena happening, voices in the room, talking a certain time of night, all the time. But, and then, you know, I have developed myself, and I was a mental medium and did all that, but a lot of telekinetic energy, a lot of phenomena, and I had studied physical mediumship with a few other instructors. Okay. But it's just all divine timing. You know, when your soul is ready to ignite and it's time, and I was drawn to work with Mychael. He was drawn to call me one day to come for something. I was in Arizona. I had no intention of coming anywhere near Erie, Pennsylvania. Why? When you're sitting in beautiful Phoenix, right? But for some reason, I heard that calling and I went. And even though I had all that knowledge through the other teachers, it didn't ignite until I took classes with Mychael. And then it just like everything was exploding, and it continues to just keep coming forth and coming forth. But I did have about 4 years of sitting in the dark by myself before this. So I had experience, but not with apportation. Okay. Or I had a little manifestation experience, but not apportation. So anyway, as soon as we came together to work, you guys know, you follow us, so you see.
Like everything just blew up. It's amazing. The two of you together, like extra magical, you know?
Yes, it has to be the right teacher, and he focuses as a teacher on education, not just the phenomena, because it's a whole package. You know, you can't just focus on one thing. It's when he does classes, it's different. That's all I can say is it's different. And choose a teacher that's going to support you, and choose wisely. It has to be an energetic match.
And I want to, but Lady Nada's asking me to add this. Not all students are going to be doing mediumship, physical mediumship, by taking my class. The end of the class doesn't stop the training.
Okay.
You're training every day. I'm still in the process of training and doing things.
Yes.
Julie was one of the students, and to be honest, at first I thought really all that she was going to be able to do, I don't want to make it sound like it's lesser, because mental mediumship is just as important as physical mediumship. But I thought that's what she was going to be doing. And then all of a sudden she started manifesting things. And in the class that she was in a couple of years ago, one of the ladies that was in the class is actually listening to the show right now. Her name is Margaret there. And she has done some apports and some communication and movement of the trumpet. There was a few other students that did some stuff. All of them did quite well during the test period of the class. Julie was shining like a bright star in the sky on a clear night.
Shining like that.
It was amazing. And I was actually kind of shocked, because I've had classes where people, there was 20 people in the class, and other than my own daughter, who blew my mind, her name is Rosie Bell, really manifested anything. And if they did, they didn't take it any further. You don't have to take the class to do this as a profession, just maybe to take it to understand the process and the experience. I think I had 2 people in the class that was there basically for that reason, which was beautiful, because normally people want to take the class to learn to do it, not just to understand it. And it's even more beautiful to do it that way than actually going out into the world to do it. Education.
Right.
In 1968, 69, Saint Germain materialized during another medium, and for 3 hours, and all he said was, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention to what's truly important. He repeated that for 3 hours. When he was done, he said, thank you very much, namaste, and he disappeared. There's a big message in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
you're not paying attention while you're doing the phenomenon because you're praying that it stops because of the outcome. And and education goes with you. The effort or the gemstone sits on the shelf, but the knowledge goes with you through space and time.
Absolutely. Wow. So powerful. We're getting great comments. If anybody has any questions, like I know a lot of you are familiar, you're talking about being there for all these beautiful seances. So if anybody has any questions that are advanced questions that I wouldn't know, or go right ahead and ask, because this is an opportunity for everybody, beginners or whatever anybody wants to ask anything, just feel free. Well, while they're here, while we have.
I want to give a little bit of a marketing advertisement for just a moment.
Yeah, please do. You talk. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I just have to grab a new one.
Okay.
Tell us all about it.
In Chicago, and Julie can give the dates, we're going to be doing some events up there, I believe in April. Is that correct?
Yes.
But for all of you that are unable to come to this, a really good opportunity not only to experience these processes, but also to be educated in these processes. Lilydale is going to have a symposium run by a wonderful lady by the name of Susan Barnes, who is going to have mediums. There's one by the name of Bill Bolt, Gary Mannion, who is an international medium from over in England. He's going to be there. Myself, Winter. Am I pronouncing her name right?
Yeah, Winterbrook.
He's going to be there, and we're going to be doing classes. We're going to be doing demonstrations. We're going to be doing seances. About 5 minutes away from Lilydale, at a gentleman's house by the name of Neil. Please don't.
Lilydale, New York, correct?
Yes, Lilydale, New York, which is in Casadega. Not Casadega, Florida, Casadega, New York. And it's going to be what I believe and perceive to be a phenomenal experience, and it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience because never before has mediums have ever come together to do something like this. At least not in the known history of mediums, which spans in the United States back during the time of the Fox sisters in 1848.
Are they the first, with the Fox sisters, the first physical mediums that were popular, or that people knew about, or
knew about? There were probably other mediums going on, but this was the one that was highly publicized. And I mean, and then you had Madame Blavatsky, Dee Dee Holmes, Mary Baker Eddy, Marjorie Crandon, Arthur Ford, who cracked the Houdini code, Keith Milton Reinhardt, and others. I mean, amazing, phenomenal experiences and opportunities. And now you're going to have an opportunity in Lilydale to come together with other mediums, sharing and giving and demonstrating their gifts and educating, which is the most important part of it. And if anyone is interested, Julie can give you the contact information if anyone wants to come to that, or to one of the events, or any other medium that's out there that's offering. Julie and I are not going to say, "Oh, only come and see us." You want to experience this as many times as you can with different mediums. And
that's why it's so great, because they're all going to be in one place.
That's so exciting. And Gabriella is saying she just signed up yesterday.
I just got off the phone with Jones and Barnes with the planning. And so it is suggested when you see the schedule posted, and I'm just going to be posting another schedule. I just received it by email. Try to choose. It is recommended that you choose a group. Choose group A or choose group B, That way you won't miss anything. Okay. So if all of your friends that you're coming with, if you want to stay together, just ask to be all signed up in the same group. If you're a latecomer and you're signing up at the last minute, then you might just be put into any group. But if you've already signed up, you could always let Susan know what group you want to be in, A or B, and this way you won't miss anything. We're repeating all of the classes, so don't feel overwhelmed. There is an awful lot. There's everything, and
How many days is this?
4 days. It starts Sunday evening and it goes through Thursday. And we're going to have a wonderful Victorian night on Monday evening after all the classes. But Mychael will also be in Seance. So there's going to be something for everyone. There's going to be things every evening, different seances, all kinds of classes. Mychael and I are teaching spoon bending. He's going to be doing apportation. I believe that's also day 1. Apportation and billet readings. So he'll be doing that I'll be assisting him with. And I'm going to be talking about precipitated art with Susan. I'm also going to be leading a class for the fairy trail. And a lot of people will say, well, what's that got to do with physical mediumship? But really, if you're tapping into the elementals and the earth's power, there's a lot to do with it. So come to the class and you'll find out. And we're also going to be giving some apports that are going to be from Mychael and my mediumship. Mm-hmm. And you can either keep them or you can give them to the fairies as we walk through. And if anybody is coming and doing the fairy walk, bring a gift. If you want to bring a little birdhouse or any little lawn ornamentation to leave in honor of the fairies there, because you don't want to go to Lilydale and not go on the fairy trail.
We forgot one person, Pauline Joy, who has a really beautiful healing center in Buffalo.
Oh, yes. Buffalo. And I just heard we're sold out. Saturday night is completely sold out already. So guys, there's a couple seats for Friday, and that's going to be the 16th and the 17th in the Elysian room. And that's
it's a wonderful place to go relax.
Yes. If you need a back massage, if you need a spa day, and you're in that neighborhood, oh, it's a wonderful place.
Man, I want to go there. I can't go to this particular one, but I'd love to go to one in the future. And I wanted to visit Lilydale for a long time. And what you guys are creating there is just incredible. I know that's going to sell out. So anyone that's watching, I would hurry up and get a ticket.
We have an event also in Wisconsin. And that will be in August, and that's going to be in a beautiful place as well. It's a beautiful resort on a river with boats available, pontoons, rowboats. There's camping. There's a campground next door, or there's like 11 beautiful lodges where you can rent that have, I don't know if they have 2 bedrooms in each lodge, but we're going to be doing physical mediumship there. And the 26th and 27th is our day. So the 27th of August, it's a beautiful retreat in upper northern Wisconsin. So that's going to be amazing. And then Mychael will be back in Chicago in October, where we're going to be doing all kind of experimental seances.
And you said that you were telling me off camera that that people can sponsor you in different places.
Yes. Yes. There's part of states. There's quite a few people interested in Florida. So we just have to map it all out. People, you don't have to have a business, but you can just have a large room big enough for our cabinet and some chairs. So yeah, if you're really interested, if you have the space, the curiosity, yes, you can.
I'm going to speak with the Reverend of the church that I've been doing graphics for and see.
Yes, the Unity Church.
It might be right up their alley. I don't know. I'm new there, but I'm. Wouldn't that be amazing? Because I can.
I've got a few on the Atlantic coast there, so I don't know what side you're on, but that would be nice.
I'm in the Space Coast,
all the way down. Yes,
an hour east of Orlando.
Oh, okay, right there.
I'll also be, for those, if there's anyone online here that is in Switzerland, I'll be in Basel in the end of April, early May through May, Basel, Switzerland. And next year, I'm looking to plan on going back to Australia.
Cool.
And then we're talking about all these wonderful opportunities where mediums from all over the world are going to be coming in. There's a lady friend of ours, Mary, in Schenectady, New York. Oh, I pronounced that right. Wow, that's even more amazing. She's next year in March. She's looking to put together, I believe, is it George Lake or George Washington Lake? There's a retreat or something there where we're going to be doing. There's going to be Gary Mannion, myself, Kai Muge, who's a well-known.
I interviewed him. He's amazing.
Phenomenal. He's going to be coming over to be one of the mediums.
Fabulous.
I'm recommending that Mary asks Julie to be there because I believe that you can learn a lot with one experience or one medium, but can you imagine what you could learn with multitudes of them?
Mm.
And
yes and no and yes. I totally get the profundity of that concept. Wow, like all the mediums in one place teaching. That's powerful. And doing. Ooh, that's just
Kai. He
Kai in the same place. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
You have to sit with him. You can't describe.
That must be.
We really can't describe what others do, and we can describe what we do, but we can't really tell you what it's like or how it feels. And to experience these things, it's you just can't wrap your mind around it. But that's okay. It comes in time.
Right.
And if you're sitting in a room where Julie is doing her thing, and all of a sudden a bunch of gemstone falls on your head and lap, how do you go home and describe that?
Fabulous.
You really can't. But what's important is the education behind it.
So that's what Kimmy's asking. Is the basic point of the apportation is to show that the spirit world exists.
Yeah, because in modern day spiritualism, their definition is proof of life after death by the communication of loved ones. Well, loved ones are beautiful, but you know what? I would say that Jesus, Saint Germain, Katumi, El Moria, Lady Nada, Mother Mary were also loved ones.
That's true. That's true.
How about the evidence of existence of life after death, regardless who's communicating?
Oh, yes.
And by the way, spirits that are in the spirit realm, they also have to train to connect to us.
Great point. Yeah. So it's not just they can just because they exist. This takes practice work on both sides.
Yeah, it doesn't take one side. You have to have both sides.
I love that. We have a question from Kim Cardenas asking, can transfiguration be the beginning to physical mediumship?
Julie, you want to answer that?
Well, for me, it was. And I'll tell you something. I just knew I put off doing trance for so long because I said I really want to develop myself as far as I can go with my physical mediumship and my psychic work. And I can swear to you, the very first time I sat for trance, I had full-blown transfiguration. It just happened the very first time. It was wild. And so for me, I say yes. But there is a difference. There is from trance to transfiguration to physical mediumship, there's a period where the mental trance mediumship stops and the physical begins. How I understood it, how it was taught to me from Mavis Patilla, bless her soul. She said it was when the actual bone structure, when the transfiguration is so defined that you can see the bones moving and a whole different structure comes over you. So for her, that's the explanation she gave me. When does trance stop? You know, the mental mediumship part of trance and the physical begin, and your actual bones will move and change.
Body functions.
Yes, and I have plenty pictures where that happened. It totally looks like another person, or you look like you have no teeth and a mustache and Einstein hair, or all types of things. But I feel like yes. How about you, Mychael?
I would add and say that the first connection to physical mediumship is birth.
There you go. There you go.
That's in this life. But I would also say, now I do transfiguration seances too, but I can't really experience or describe what that's like because I'm in trance and the spirit takes over the body. And by the way, when you give yourself to spirit, they can do anything with your body as long as it's that of the light and good, because they won't violate that. It's just amazing. But I had an opportunity to see a video of Julie doing the transfiguration with her home circle, and without any shadow of a doubt, no trickery in Photoshop or some sort of video manipulation. You can see Katumi coming. Actually, he wasn't coming out; he was going in to her, and you can see the cloth over his head, which was partly ectoplasm. You could see the thing that went over his mouth, and you could see his eyes. It wasn't Julie's eyes. It was just coming down. In the video, it looks like he's coming out of it. But I was told later he wasn't coming out. He was going in. And it was, I mean, it shocked me. I'm like, whoa, because I don't get to see it coming from me. So I got to see it coming from her. And he said that the biggest piece of information that he was attempting to give by doing that was to show that all this physical body really is a vehicle, and it can be utilized by more than just the spirit that's connected to it. It's like you can loan your car to somebody else and they can drive it. Well, the same thing with your body. And unless you're educated about all of this, you might see a video of someone coming out of the cabinet and wandering around the room or whatever and think that was a fraud. But no, spirit can go into your body, and if they want, they even can remove you from your restraints and do whatever they want with that body. But if there's a lack of information and knowledge out there, which I think really needs to be out there so people can understand this process, and I won't ever recommend people become a medium, but at least educate yourself about it, especially if you're going to develop an opinion. It's best to be part of it, learn about it, and understand it before that opinion comes out.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was getting rid of, I had to block somebody in the chat. I didn't mean to pull it up on screen. I'm trying to do it all quietly, but it was. Anyway.
There is a movie called The City of Angels.
Yes, of course.
Where Meg Ryan says to Nicolas Cage, "I can only tell you what a pear tastes to me. Tastes like to me, because it's going to taste differently for everybody." Same thing with mediumship. You can be doing the exact same thing, but don't ask the medium what is it like, because most of us don't even know because we're in trance.
Good point.
You have to go and experience it, and the experience is going to be different than everybody else in the room. Similar, but different. So go experience it.
Absolutely. Wow, time has just flown by. I can't even believe we've been chatting for an hour and 21 minutes. I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. You guys are amazing. I want to give it to you guys to because I figure we have about 8 more minutes. And Kimmy's saying, I love that movie. And Teresa said, I saw that. And so what else do you guys want to share and blow our minds with before you go today? And then we'll remind everybody again where they can find you guys, all of you. And I'm actually going to drop your Julie's group link in the comments as well.
My website? You got my website?
Well, all of that is underneath in the description. Everything is there. Your website, your description, everything we talked about. But I also wanted to put Mediumship Mixer in there too.
Lady Nada is telling me that there's one other form of art that we haven't brought up.
Okay.
It's called psychic art, spirit art, mediumship art, where a individual will go into a state where they can see and talk to spirit while consciously awake, and they will draw, paint, or color in the spirit that's talking to them. And one of the most amazing psychic artists that I've ever experienced was Sandy Ingram.
I just received my painting. I'll share for Sandy because this particular painting, it's still in the plastic, but yes, her and Leo are amazing. And there's a story on her art page. So if you're not friends with Sandy, find her art page. There's a big story about how this came to be. She had to do it twice. She redid it because of what the guide said. But yeah, Sandy is amazing. And does anybody know who
Ingham, I think Medium. Okay, I'm going to drop her link there in the comments too. Marie says, I have 2 paintings from Sandy. Teresa says, oh my.
She's very, very talented, and it's just amazing to see. I've not actually experienced her doing what she does, but I have seen the outcome of what she does, and I've met her personally. Wonderful lady. She's funnier than you can imagine. There's also Madrado. I don't know his whole name. Who I believe is from South America.
Okay.
There's a lady in Australia. Imelda is her name.
I'm not familiar, but I'm listening, and I'm sure it's processing with a lot of people.
But Sandy, she goes all over the place and does this, and like what Julie just showed you, they're amazing. If I have a picture of one that my daughter did, she does it too, but she's going to college to be a doctor, so she's not going to make a living out of it. But she does a really good job as well. I wish I had one in the room.
I have a couple of sketches of that Rosie did for me of 2 guides. She does beautiful work. I'll post them.
Saying there are some amazing Brazilian mediums.
Yeah, that was Madrado. He's from Brazil. Yeah, I haven't experienced him either, but I've seen his work, and it's amazing. For those of you that go to Lilydale, oh my God! And I'm sorry if I'm taking up all the time here. If you go into the hotel in Lilydale and you go to the right as you walk through the front door, there's a room, and there is this painting that was done by spirit that's taller than you are.
Wow.
On the wall, when you look at it, it's like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah, it's of the guide Azure, Azure, in the Lincoln Room.
Yes, in the Lincoln Room, and they have all kinds of spirit art over there, from precipitated art to psychic art. and it's really it's the beginning place of spiritual connections and stuff. It's just here in the United States, it's wonder in England. You have the Arthur Findlay College, and
visit there too. I have several friends that have spent time and taking courses at Arthur Findlay. I've seen pictures.
and by the way, Julie's doing the transfiguration and red light seances by herself. So
Say that again? Who does?
Julie. Coming out of the closet, as they say, doing her own thing, and it's amazing.
I love that. I sit for trance, and I've experienced transfiguration with my own face, which I think is amazing, and I've seen even more with other people in my classes and stuff, classes that I attend, like Debbie Charlton teaching, and I've sat with several different people. I love trance mediumship, and I don't know, who knows, maybe I'll sit for physical sometime too and learn that. I didn't know I'd be interested in mediumship at all. I was just fascinated that everybody else was doing this, and then the more I dive in, after the more years go by, the more I want to know and I want to do, and I find this fast. I did table tipping. I know that's considered physical, isn't it?
Yes.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Move or manifest anything is considered physical. Mental mediumship is where the medium, like James Van Praagh, sees and hears and communicates with spirit.
Right.
You have automatic handwriting mediumship. One of the most famous would be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's wife.
Oh, really? Okay.
Escapes me right now, but she was well known. There's also trance mediumship, which is different than physical mediumship. There's other kinds of forms of mediumship, and then there's also readers and psychics and visionaries. There's another process called scrying, which is how Nostradamus saw his visions.
I see that too sometimes, scrying. Yeah. There's
the tabletop seances with the crystal ball in the middle of the table or a candle.
Really?
The table tipping.
I didn't do the one with the crystal ball. That sounds interesting.
They don't do that anymore. That's really got the thing you see at the carnival, the woo stuff. In
this haunted mansion with the ball in the middle.
No, I started with my crystal ball.
I love that.
Yes, you could say is woo, but
I only have a little bitty crystal ball, but I love scrying, whether it's water or anything. It's just,
if you want to learn to do it, the best thing to do is get a candle, turn out all the lights, and don't look at the flame. Look at the peripheral of the flame, and start yourself up, and you'll start seeing visions and entities, and it works. It just takes practice, and that would be a good technique for people that are here on the show to try. Be patient.
I love that. I love that, because I love leaving people stuff to take with them that they can do on their own. So you're talking about candle gazing, but not staring at the candle. Your focus is like you're soft gazing at the like the aura of the candle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you look straight at the flame, you can burn your retina. So you don't want to do that. You want to, even if you could stare at the flame, if you're only looking at the flame, that's really all you're going to see. You want to it's kind of like the movie Patch Adams, where the guy says, "How many fingers do I have up?" And everyone says 4, and it freaks them out. 4, when he was trying to get people to see beyond the 4 fingers, and then there's 8 instead of 4.
Right.
You want to look at it in a peripheral mode. When you're doing a reading on somebody, same thing. You look at their eyes, and then you start moving peripheral, and you start looking at them that way. And same with spirit too. When if you're a mental medium, you want to look beyond them to see the vibration and connect to that energy. So this class that I teaches all of these different modalities, including psychometry and billet readings,
right?
other things. But you have to find a teacher that fits your energy. You can't just be taught by anyone. You have to be comfortable with them. You have to relate to what they're doing, and basically become one with the teacher as the teacher becomes one with the student. You see, it's not just when the student is ready, the master will appear.
Okay.
It's also when the master is ready, the students will appear.
I understand.
So I'll just say to everybody, thank you for being here today. And I'm going to pass the mic on to Julie, because I think I've said enough.
I thank you so much for being here, Mychael. You're absolutely amazing. And wow, I can think of a gazillion questions. And maybe you'll be, if you're drawn, be kind enough to come back another time, with Julie, and we'll talk more about this. But yes, let's pass it on to Julie, and whatever you want to share, my dear. You're amazing. You're both amazing. You're both amazing.
Thank you. And what Mychael was saying is so important. Our psychic work is very important in our development. Anytime you're activating the pineal gland, you're lighting up. You're lighting up your power. So don't feel like, oh, this is just psychic work, or any one type of modality of work is just as important and good as the next. I happen to have a personal love for tarot reading, for cards in general. They bring me comfort. They've always brought my family comfort. I grew up playing cards. I've done this in the past. So yeah, as you do too. So you can be drawn to so many things. And the most important thing is to be open. And the most important person for you to connect with is yourself, by sitting in the power and connecting with your own soul first. Know your own energy and get to know your monad, your soul, your higher self. Understand that, and it's just going to open the door for you. Okay, that's the one thing that I found it was most important. Many of you know, who have been following me, I used to have a circle that all we did was sit in the power every Monday morning. No readings, no nothing. Just coming together with like-minded, high vibrational people to sit in the power together and, elevate our souls. So for me, if you don't know where to start there. Even if you're sitting in the closet, dim the lights and sit with your own soul in your own power. Okay.
I love that. I'm just bringing up all the wonderful comments. People are saying thank you. And I love you, Julie, from Teresa, and Kimmy Angelique. Sitting in the power is number one. Oh, you're welcome, Marie. And Kat is saying with me.
Yes, Kat.
Well, you're making this possible, by letting us be on here and having this show and having other people on your show. It begins with you.
Yes. Sharing in an open heart, and you're supportive. And that's what we're trying to do. And if we all stick together in this collective and begin this supportiveness, it's starting to happen. Lilydale's happening. There's something next year happening. We're here to help lift you to the next level. And, each of us is a puzzle to the next piece of knowledge to raise your consciousness. So we're all in this together. So thank you, Megan.
It's my pleasure. I'm so honored. Honestly, Spirit is calling me to do this and to bring, mediums and exactly what we're doing. And so I'm just honored to spend time with you guys and to learn and to grow myself and to have everybody here, because I couldn't do what I do without you, all of you, honestly.
We work together.
Thank you. Yes, we do.
Yes,
we do.
Working together. Cheers. I'll drink to that.
Namaste, everybody.
Have a beautiful night, and I will see you all.
Bye, everybody. Hope to see you in Lilydale and our events.
Also, check out all the Julie's and Michael's links underneath. Mostly Julie's links, but Michael's there too. I put your Facebook page in there. So look them up, find them, follow them, go to the events, book their classes. You'll be glad you did.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.